The United States of America prides itself on being family-centered. The institution of family is sacred to the United States' core and is used within the government to make decisions. But what is the definition of family being used? When the topic of family is brought up, most people first think of the American dream. They picture a white picket fence with a good-sized home, mom in a dress and pearls, dad in his business suit, and 2.5 children running around a freshly cut, vibrantly green lawn with a dog playing in the background. Mom stays at home to cook, clean, and takes care of the children, while dad goes to work as a businessman to make the money. But then they think about it a little more and realize that really isn't the reality anymore. So they see a new picture. They see both mom and dad working and raising their kids. Mom cooks dinner every night, does yoga, walks the dog, has a perfectly clean house, drinks a glass of wine every night, and takes the perfect Instagram photos. Dad gets home from a long day at the office to play catch with his son while the dogs are running around the backyard. This ideal of family is simply outdated and wrong. The complexities parents face are overlooked in society and by the government. My name is Katrina Sieck, and today I will be presenting on work-life balance for the working parent. Young parents, mothers especially, believe that they can have it all, when in reality they can't. The government tells them that they have a choice to go to work or stay at home, but the cost of and availability of childcare sometimes forces their decision. In the United States, the cost of raising one child, born in 2015, from birth to age 18, is estimated to be about $284,570, with projected inflation factored in. And that does not include the increasing cost of sending a child to college. Over the past 30 to 40 years, there has been a 20% spike in this cost, but hourly wages for middle-class workers grew only 12% in that time frame. These numbers suggest that both parents have to work in order to afford a child, but then the discussions of childcare are brought up. Childcare and education accounts for, on average, 16% of the cost of a child. That is over $2,500 a year. Childcare is expensive, if it's even available. Public preschool does not exist in America, and there are no incentives to become a quality licensed childcare provider, which leaves millions of Americans in childcare deserts. A childcare desert is any census tract with more than 50 children under the age of 5 that contains either no childcare providers or so few options that there are more than 3 times as many children as licensed childcare slots. More than half of Americans live in a childcare desert. Hundreds of parents are forced into situations in which they have no choice at all. A lack of quality childcare availability and financial support eliminates the choice that politicians keep ensuring the public has while they avoid solving the issue. In the arts, it becomes more complicated because there's a silence around parenting. The lack of flexibility shown within performing arts companies has driven parents to complete silence around their children. Parents are encouraged not to bring up their children or pregnancies ever because it signals to a company an unpredictability that they do not want to deal with. This silence drives many highly skilled artists out of their industry because they do not have resources or connections to help them navigate the minefields of childcare, discrimination, housing, networking, and scheduling. Artist schedules often don't fall during a consistent 9-to-5 work schedule. This can make childcare more difficult. If a parent is actively auditioning, they often only need a babysitter for a few hours on an inconsistent and sometimes short notice basis. For some, this means it costs around $30 just to go to an audition, which doesn't seem like much, but adds up if they are attending multiple auditions. They also have to find childcare if they find a job, which is often on a short-term assignment. For some productions, the amount paid to artists isn't even enough to cover the childcare for the length of the assignment, let alone the other costs of raising a child. Parents also have to navigate the inconsistent schedules of rehearsals. The habit of saying, "You're called at X to end at Y, but X really means 30 minutes early and Y really means an hour late," does not work for parents. If a babysitter was scheduled for 30 minutes after the stated end time of rehearsal to allow for travel time and a little bit of extra buffer after rehearsal, and the parent has to stay for an hour at the end of time, that creates stress and an unnecessary balance between work and family. Another problem parent artists face is networking. Networking within the arts is difficult for parents since networking mainly happens during the late night hours after rehearsals and shows. Parents have difficult schedules or have different schedules than those without children. A parent's day often starts in the early morning, especially if their children are young. If the cast of a show is going out for drinks at 11 o'clock at night, parents have the difficult choice of either paying a sitter to stay that long and losing much needed sleep, or growing their connections and positioning themselves for another job. Networking is important in any profession, but expecting artists to stay out late in order to network is crossing the line and pushing the boundaries of work-life balance. Unbalance leads to an unhappy and less productive workforce, which is why a healthier work-life balance is the solution for parents and everyone. So, work-life balance. What is it really? Well, that depends on who you ask. There is no universal definition of work-life balance, but OSHA Europe defines it as the extent to which an individual is equally engaged in and equally satisfied with his or her work role and family role. So there's a balance between three components. Time, how someone's time is split between different activities. Involvement, how actively someone is engaged in each activity. And satisfaction, how satisfied someone is in their current situation's balance. So what should be done about it? Giving parents real quality choices and working with them will allow for a more balanced work-life balance. Instituting a national child care program loosely based off of France's system would allow parents quality options for child care so they can truly choose what works best for them. The United States should institute a public preschool program from ages 3 to 5, create a program of qualified nannies for parents to employ, and provide incentives for qualified individuals to open quality, affordable daycare centers. A public preschool program would create a more educated workforce and give parents a low-cost childcare option, but this would only be for ages 3 through 5. For children younger than 3, parents could hire a nanny or send their child to a daycare. Hiring a nanny, especially if they are shared between friends, could be an excellent solution for parents, especially those in the arts. This flexibility of sharing would help those who are going through the auditioning process, so they don't have to pay as much to go to an audition. It can also cut down costs of childcare when they find a short-term assignment that may not pay for a more costly babysitter. If parents don't want a nanny, daycare centers should be an option. If the government provided support and financial incentives for people to become trained and then open daycare centers, especially in high-needs areas, we could have less childcare deserts within the United States. These three options help to move the issue of childcare in a better direction, but arts companies also need to step up. Employers have a lot of power in giving their employees a strong work-life balance. There are many ways to do this, but the first thing to do is listen. Building a culture where employees can be open and honest about their needs will foster a happier, more productive workforce. Performing arts houses have crazy schedules and limited time to pull together extravagant projects. But administrators need to slow down and realize that parents can put in just as much work if they are listened to. Listening will break the silence around parenting in the arts and allow an entire population of artists a more fair chance to create the art that they love. They also need some adjustments to schedules, which will benefit everyone. Rehearsal time is sacred. If expectations are clear that there is a hard start time and a hard end time, everyone involved in the rehearsal will take it more seriously. A lot can be done in a rehearsal with some simple time management. Networking should also be moved more to the day. There should be more opportunities throughout the day or early evening for networking opportunities instead of just going out late night after rehearsals. There is no one definition of family. If the United States wants to truly say that family is a central value, then they must value the working parents and ensure that they have quality choices to make around working and parenting. Employers in the government must be willing to listen to the needs of parents and work with them to create a balance between work and home. The government must provide quality choices available to all parents, and employers must be willing to work to create a healthy culture for all workers. A balance of work and home will create a happier, more productive workforce, and hopefully a better society. I personally think that the current situation of COVID-19 is really setting up for a more positive work-life balance opportunity, with more and more businesses finding ways to work from home and more families having to navigate working from home, I really think that this work-life balance will improve after we no longer are under the threat of COVID-19. Thank you.